Our story begins in one of the most important and multicultural cities on the planet.
London!
A place that has witnessed the birth of numerous individuals who have contributed to the emergence and advancement of our evolution. 10th of December, 1815, right here, near the heart of Piccadilly.
In Piccadilly Terrace!
A wonderful event took place, the birth of a being of light, a life that would bring with it one of the greatest gifts humanity has ever witnessed in its existence. She was named
Augusta Ada King,
but famously known as Ada Lovelace, the Countess Lovelace, for many people a prophet, enlightened one, visionary of AI, enchantress of numbers, mother of computing, or simply the Countess of who dream in numbers. To understand her history, her legacy, is essential to go back further to analyze her ancestry and family genetics.
the great-grandfather Byron, sailor!
Her great-grandfather on her father's side, Vice Admiral John Byron, was a British Royal Navy officer by his nickname Foul Weather Jack, famous for his naval maneuvers with extraordinary skills and knowledge of navigation under pressure, high-risk circumstances of bad weather offshore. Broke records as the fastest person to circumnavigate the globe in his time, and who was eventually called by the world press as the master of bad weather.
The father Byron, poet.
His father, George Gordon Byron, the sixth Baron Byron, was a famous poet and is remembered to this day for his contributions to the Romantic poetry movement, from which he derived great benefit as he was admired by the women of his time, effortlessly charming them, a professional lady killer. He is noted for his grand speech in the House of Lords in 1812 regarding the defense of workers who were opposing the integration of new technological machines that were causing massive layoffs at the end of the Industrial Revolution. He also contributed with great and popular works such as Don Juan, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, Hebrew Melodies, etc. The poet Byron was adored. He was a true star, an influencer of his time, but unfortunately his world was full of chaos and he was addicted to gambling. We will return to him later.
The mother, Anne Isabella, politician.
Her mother, the prodigious woman Lady Byron, born as Anne Isabella Milbank and nicknamed Annabella, was educated in classical literature, philosophy, science, and mathematics thanks to private tutors. During her lifetime, she was committed to reforms and social causes such as political activism. Admired and renowned for her mathematical skills, and dubbed by Lord Byron as the Princess of the Parallelogram, she stood out for being a woman of a strong mind and character until the end of her days in 1860 at the age of 67. When Lord Byron proposed to marry Anne Isabella, she did not take the proposal seriously, but after his persistent insistence, she finally accepted. In January 1815, their marriage took place in Piccadilly Terrace, London, the same location that led to the birth of Ada Lovelace. Unfortunately, their marriage would not last. It was chaotic as Lord Byron was facing very complex financial difficulties and was having trouble selling some of his properties. A result of gambling and excess was a way to calm his debts. Later, in the summer of 1815, he unleashed his fury and frustrations on his wife, fully giving himself over to liquor while engaging in various affairs with well-known actresses and women of high society. And Isabella found herself in very complex circumstances. Her pregnancy was progressing, her mood and mental health were not right. She felt scared, nervous, and vulnerable. It was then that she decided to seek companionship, and with a somewhat naive and trusting attitude, Annabella invited Augusta, Byron's half-sister, to live with them in her house, which was elegant, spacious, with 16 available rooms, and suitable for receiving a good number of guests. Augusta, who had already accepted a prestigious position as Lady of the Bedchamber with the elderly Queen Charlotte, but had nowhere to live in London, was the reason for Aunt Isabella's great idea to extend the invitation. But Augusta, Byron's half-sister, kept a secret. She had a daughter named Medora with Byron, of whom Ada apparently never found out. Aunt Isabella was unaware of his constant affairs and never imagined that Byron had long been having an affair with his half-sister Augusta, a relationship that continued even after their marriage. Around the same time, Byron was romantically involved with Claire Claremont, half-sister of the great writer Mary Shelley. Byron and Claire had an illegitimate daughter named Clara Allegra, which was the result of this brief romance. Since the atmosphere in the house was tense at all times to avoid a calamity or a bad decision, weeks after, in December the 10th, 1815, from Ada's birth, in early 1816, Aunt Isabella planned her escape and managed to flee, becoming a fugitive, given that at that time a woman had no rights before men, and absolutely everything, including family members, belonged to the property of men.
The grandparents, Sir Ralph Milbank and wife.
From 1816 to 1822, Ada lived with her mother and grandparents, high-born aristocrats, Sir Ralph Milbank and Judith Noel, in the village of Kirkby Hall in Leicestershire, where her grandmother, Lady Judith Milbank, protected her. She was cared for and entertained by the servants, who loved playing with little Ada. Unfortunately, her mother, the great reformer, spent most of her time away from Ada, her daughter. Ada was baptized in the parish church of Kirkby Mallory. Aunt Isabella took charge of parenting by raising her daughter in an unusual manner for a girl or woman of those times. Her mother and grandmother opted for very strict rules in the daily life of little Ada, who was cared by nannies while enforcing maximum discipline, but also attribute to the fact that thanks to her mother and grandparents, who came from aristocratic families, Ada was able to gain access to private tutors and intellectuals of the British Scientific and Literary Society. At just 5 years old, she was educated in sciences, mathematics, arithmetic, geography, painting, music, philosophy, and languages such as French. which create an insatiable effect on Ada, turning her into a girl of wisdom and enriching herself with all those around her, great thinkers of the time. This allowed her to interact with prestigious scientists like Andrew Cross, David Brewster, Charles Wheatstone, Michael Faraday, and the famous novelist Charles Dickens. Unfortunately, not everything is always so bright, and when Ada turned 7, an immense catastrophe occurred. Something unexpected that no one thought or anticipated what could happen. Everything, absolutely everything, was at risk, an imminent risk. The greatest scientific discovery that humanity could witness was hanging in the balance and very close to its end.
Oh, wow!
Do you have any questions?
I have a question. What is a lady killer?
It is a very attractive romantic man who is usually famous for having many women at the same time. What is the moral of the story?
That family genes are important, but we have good and bad ones. We must develop the good and special ones too. Take control over the bad ones.
What do you mean by the bad ones?
For example, Ada's father used to gamble and do other things. He couldn't control them.
Very well, and what do you think about implanting discipline from childhood?
I like the idea. I practice it, and it allows me to perform better whenever I want to excel in a practice or virtue.
Can you explain it to me?
For example, it helps me to be better in my science classes. With discipline, I practice and study much more, which allows me to have better grades and gain more confidence in myself as a person.
I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of MujerWoman.
MujerWoman adds the flavor to all women with inspiration.
MujerWoman gives you motivation, good teaching without justification.